Hey, insight number 2 this week. We're in section 63 and we've done verse 1. We're about to do verse 24. Now, I love 24 because it really speaks to just something that I'm particularly good at. I have talents at it. It is a gift and I'm grateful to have it. I also get incredibly frustrated when I see others fail at it. So that's something I have to work on. But it's all about sort of being organized and knowing what you're doing versus rushing in and being hasteful. So we'll cover that. But verse 23 is really good, talking about that who keeps the commandments gets the mysteries in the kingdom of God. And people often think the mysteries are like, big. They're not. They're little things that are really helpful. And keep the commandments. You'll get some mysteries of the kingdom of God. It's not like magical mysteries. It's a greater peace, knowledge. When you read the scriptures, they come alive to you. Just kind of things. All right. So anyway, verse 24. And now behold, this is the will of the Lord your God concerning his saints, that they should assemble themselves together unto the land of Zion, not in haste, lest there should be confusion, which bringeth pestilence. Right? So, because this chapter is about gathering to Zion, which is over in Missouri. So, how shall we gather? Not in haste. Assemble themselves unto the land of Zion, not in haste, lest there be confusion, and that brings pestilence. So let's talk about that. Because when have you rushed in without knowing anything about the thing? And sometimes it's okay. Most of the times you sit back afterwards and go, that would have been so much better if we'd just planned a little. Now, what if everyone did this? What if everyone rushed in and didn't think about it? In this situation, what if all of them had just packed up that day and moved and gone? You would have had a couple of thousand people turn up in Missouri with nowhere to live, with no land purchased, no houses built, in a place that didn't exactly have hotels to stay at or places for you to pitch a tent, or weren't safe to pitch a tent. This is it would have been a complete disaster and brought pestilence. It would have been a drain on the resources that were there. They would have run out of food, those kind of things. It's just bad. So, think of COVID panic buying too. So that whole toilet paper issue where everyone just went and got toilet paper because everyone acted all at once and suddenly there was nothing. So it's a bit like that. Be prepared. I didn't have to go rush and buy toilet paper because we had plenty. It's just those little things, to be prepared. And I'm not saying that you have to be an ultra prepared freak about everything. I'm kind of a little bit of that freak. I like to be ultra prepared about everything, but I'm not asking you to do that. I'm not telling you that you should. All I'm saying is that think about it a little bit, put a little preparation, a little planning, and it works so much better. Have a schedule, have a plan. These can always change as well. When you're in the middle of the schedule or you're in the middle of the plan, don't make it so rigid that you can't change. That's what we talked about last week, about finding joy in the journey. And if you're in the middle of this big schedule, like we have to get from A to B, but we're also going to detour a little bit on AA, or maybe A2, whatever you want to call it, and stop in at this really cool ice cream shop, or stop in and visit this auntie on the way. So you've got to enjoy life as well on that way. Or just stop and take photos of something you see is cool. Or stop at a playground so your kids can go. I mean, whatever it is. But have a schedule and have an idea of what's going to happen. The out-of-stock pestilence is what I've put here, happened during COVID. And it's still happening now because everyone rushed in. There's lack of shipping and we have a pestilence that's just an out of stock. Some countries it's really bad. New Zealand's not too bad, but it happens. We just had panic buying this week down south when some big floodings happened and trucks couldn't get through and everyone local just went and cleared out the supermarket. Panic buying. Whereas if they'd been just a little bit prepared, even just for a few days, wouldn't have been such an issue. So just prepare as best you can, research, plan and act with the Lord's guidance, of course. Now, my friend Eliza, who I've talked about a lot, and Ryan, her husband, did singing for me a while back, who's really cool. Eliza, if you're watching this, hey. We went to Time Out for Women I'm going to say like nearly 5 years ago now, must have been. It was a while ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And I said, well, come with me because I'm going to go up the night before. I'm going to stay in a hotel. This is when it was in Auckland. I came out in Auckland. And, she was helping out at it. So I was like, I'll drive. I'll drop you off. We'll have a nice night. I'll get a hotel. It's got 2 bedrooms, peace, quiet, and organised. And I had a plan. I knew we were going to have dinner. I knew what we were going to do for lunch, what time we were leaving, all those kind of things. And she said afterwards, she's like, it was so nice to go and not have to think about everything, but also just to know that it was organised and done. Because she's a very organised person too. She loves that organised and get it, get a plan. And her family's wonderful, but they're just not so much like that. They're more of a, oh yeah, I'll get to it, or I'll turn up and I'll do it later. And that's all cool too. Like, I'm not criticizing in any way, but she was appreciating the planning that I'd done and how it had worked so that we could have a really enjoyable weekend where no panic or pestilence ensued because we had a plan and we worked around that, and it was a really good time. So even going on holiday, I've taught Hayden, who I talk about too, to think of, and I don't just rush in. Like, have an idea. It doesn't mean that you have to do this, but have an idea. Make sure you go through what you might need before you go, so that if you want to do it, if you want to go swimming, you have got swimming clothes with you. We call them togs. I don't know, whatever you guys want to call them. But yeah, so there's those little things to prepare. So it's not about necessarily always having this big disaster relief in your home, although cool if you do, because I'm kind of working towards that. But it's just that prepare, have a plan. And this is what the Lord's saying here to these saints, is that if you all rushed in, it's going to be a problem. But if you plan about it, have a crew where 10 families go together with, make sure you've got X amount of priesthood leaders, X amount of women that can take care of other things, and then all work together as a team and all travel there. Make sure that the children are allotted out sort of evenly, so you don't get 6 families that have lots of children and then the other group has, with no children in it. Balance it out so that when you travel, it works better. It's just good advice. So that's my thoughts on that. There's an unknown quote for this one, but it just really worked really well. So I'm going to use it. It said, some people create their own storms but get mad when it rains. And I love that. And I'm probably going to put that on one of my calendar pages for next year because I think it's pretty cool. Some people create their own storm but get mad when it rains. And I'm pretty sure you know someone like that. So try not to be that. Be a little bit prepared with the guidance of the Lord. There you go. All right, hang tight. I'll see you for insight number 3 soon.